Hi, my name is Isabel, and this is my flipped classroom presentation for Technology 407 with Dr. Perry's class. This is my presentation on all the places that I have traveled to this year in 2016. In January, I went to Ecuador. Over the summer, I went to Malaysia, Taiwan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So in January, I went to Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands with the biology class for honors. We did snorkeling there, we did hiking there, we saw tortoises, we saw all types of animals there. It was an amazing trip. We did zip lining, which was my first time. It was only $20 to go on 10 different zip lines to see across the forest, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. We visited a lot of cities and museums. We saw the capital. We saw a lot of amazing sceneries. We tried a lot of different new foods. There was a place, my favorite place was that vegetarian restaurant we went to, where everything tasted so good. I was like, if I had this meal all the time, I would be okay with being a vegetarian. Made new friends. Everyone from that trip still meet up with them every once in a while to catch up and stuff. I think the snorkeling part was one of the best parts of the trip. If you can see in here, there are pictures from when I went snorkeling. We got to get really close to the animals, but we didn't get to touch any of them, and I was fine with that. Being there and swimming next to a turtle was amazing. One of my favorite hikes was the waterfall hike, and you can see me right here dressed not for the weather, but for the weather. Basically what I mean is it was raining really hard, but it was warm rain and it was not cold at all, so half of us were actually in our swimming suits taking that hike. And another one that we did was a volcano hike. You can see in this picture that is actually a huge crater behind us. The volcano hike was 10 miles. It was very tiring, but it was so worth it. When you got to the top, the view was breathtaking. We also did a night hike, which I was not a fan of. It was very scary. There were a lot of bugs everywhere. He would point out a spider that was just right in my face that I didn't see because it was so camouflaged. Sightseeing. We did go to the equator line. You see a picture right here. We also saw the cathedrals over there, which were gorgeous, just so, I don't know, vintage looking. The animals, again, were beautiful creatures, especially these dinosaur looking things. They're marine iguanas. Oh man, I'm really so glad that I went on this trip, and it was definitely a new experience. So right before summer, my parents surprised me with a trip to Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, and I knew I was going to Hong Kong already because that was a missions trip. I'll get to that later. Our first stop was Taiwan. We went there to Taipei, the capital, to visit my grandma because she's lived there all of her life. She comes to visit America once in a while, but she honestly loves Taiwan so much, so she's usually there. You can see the subway system there. We did pottery there. We saw the 101 Tower, which I think is really funny because my dad said this comment. He said that is Taiwan's tallest stack of takeout boxes, and I thought that was absolutely hilarious. This plate is the size of my appetite when I was in Taiwan. The food was amazing. I absolutely loved everything about Taiwan, especially boba milk tea right here. It tasted so much better than the one they have here. It's not as sweet, but that's a good thing because I think the drinks here are way too sweet. We did a lot of sightseeing. This is actually called the Love Bridge. Usually people who cross over it are in love with someone and they're dating or getting married or, I don't know, been together for a long time. I didn't cross it. I was single and just didn't want to. Anyways, the city was beautiful. I love the weather. It was really humid, but at the same time, my skin was gorgeous by the end of this trip. It was smooth, it was acne free, it was well hydrated. I didn't need to use lotion at all. That was I know that sounds weird that it's like one of the highlights of my trip, but seriously, my skin is so amazing after this trip. The next trip I went to was Malaysia, where we were really close to Singapore, so we drove over the border into Singapore for just one night. In Malaysia, we went to visit mostly my mom's side of the family. She has 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and those are my aunts and uncles, and they all had many kids, and those kids also had kids. My mom is the 6th youngest child in the family, so I'm the youngest cousin in the family, other than my sister, who is a year younger. We visited Johor. We lived in Johor, visited Kuala Lumpur, and went to Penang for fun. We also visited Tioman Island, which is part of Malaysia, but I mean it's an island. We had to take a boat, and we were on a trip kind of by ourselves, just with my family. This is pictures of me when we were in Tioman. We also went to this escape park, which was basically had all these cool things we can do, like climbing. I'm not sure how to explain it. I don't have any picture on here from it other than this one where I was climbing a coconut tree. I won 2 free coconuts because I climbed up by myself twice. That was definitely an interesting experience. I was really sore the next day, but it was totally worth the free coconuts. We also visited the Twin Towers. That was beautiful, especially at night. I got this gorgeous picture using a fisheye camera. My family, I have to go back and talk about. This is how big my family is, and this is only like 30 or 40% of them. A lot of them lived in Singapore when we took this picture, so they aren't in here. I have 21 cousins that I am related to, meaning I did not include all the people who married into our family. I have 7 first cousins once removed, meaning my cousins' children, and I love all of them. I miss them so much. I haven't been back to the Asian countries in 13 years. When I was able to go back and finally officially meet, because I can't remember any of them from 13 years ago. It was really nice. I'm so glad I have this huge family over there that I can rely on, I can talk to, just in case anything happens here, because I only have 1 uncle, 1 aunt, my grandparents here, and my parents and my sister. So it's really small family here. We did a lot of swimming, did a lot of eating, definitely did so much eating. I didn't actually gain any weight, but I did lose a lot of muscle and gain a lot of fat, so it evened out, but I don't know if that's a good exchange. We did do snorkeling when we were in Tioman Island. That was amazing. The views were incredible. The water was a little cold, but it's not California water's cold. It wasn't too warm either, like Hawaii warm, nope. Also, there was a pool. I don't have a picture of it in here, but the infinity pool in Singapore. Seriously recommend you guys look it up online. It is the tallest pool in the world. It also kind of drips over the edge, so it's kind of like swimming on the edge of the world. It was amazing. It was beautiful too. So I have no regrets this summer going there. It was so much fun. And the last place I went to was Hong Kong. So when I was in Hong Kong, I actually went there for a Christian missions trip. I went with a team. You can see them pictured here, here, and here. We went there to teach a vacation Bible study twice, VBS. One time at a school with about 40 students, and another time at a church for 26 students. Each VBS week was only 3 days. I was the MC for the introduction and the ending, and me and one other friend, Megan, right here, did crafts with me. Caitlin did English corner, so she taught the children how to read and write in English because most of them were not English speakers. We went there mostly to teach English and about God. Nate in the back, he did worship. He led all the songs. He helped the kids get energized and ready for the day. Mei Ling and Aaron did Bible story time, and Steven did games. he had a lot of fun with that. He's really good at doing the game stuff. We also did a lot of sightseeing. We had so much time for ourselves. We went shopping. We went to eat a lot of food. Again, food was just one of the highlights of this summer. I had so much good food this summer. We got to visit some of the most famous places. There's the pier in Hong Kong. There is the Peninsula Hotel that everyone knows of. They've done many movies around here. They've also done a movie for Batman. Batman was filmed in Hong Kong. Some of it was. There's a tower that's not pictured in here, but that we got to see was part of that movie and was even more beautiful in person. I do recommend coming to Hong Kong and visiting. We stayed in Mong Kok. I lived in the 11th floor of the apartment. I had a room to myself. The elevator was really sketchy, so I did not take the elevator. I did walk those 11 flights of stairs every day. But it was worth it, you know. I had so much food, I needed the exercise. We did a lot of walking and got those strong legs, you know. Overall, there are a lot of things that I learned. Traffic is really different in the Asian countries. I feel like LA traffic is always rushing and everyone's honking at each other because they're angry. There is a lot of middle finger flipping off, I don't know, here. But overseas, when people drive, they don't drive necessarily out of anger, but more out of necessity. No one's angry at each other, they're just warning each other, basically. It's much more relaxed. I loved it there. Another difference was time. Time is a difference because everyone here is so obsessed with getting to everywhere on time, and 15 minutes early is actually on time, and any time after that is considered late. But in Taiwan and Malaysia, everyone just kept saying, don't worry, you're fine, you're not going to be late, we'll get there on time, it's going to be okay. In Hong Kong, it was a little different. Hong Kong was more like LA traffic, where people were rushing and gotta get to here on time, gotta get there on time. Another thing I realized was America is supposed to be got freedom of religion, right? But do we really have freedom of religion? Because it seems that there's a lot of people who are still oppressed for believing in what they do. When I was in Malaysia, I saw people who believed in all sorts of religions, and everyone just loved each other for who they were. There were no judgments about what someone was wearing, how someone looked, what someone was doing, what time they ate, what time they didn't eat. It was so relaxed. I felt like this is how freedom of religion should be. No judgment. Another thing was politics. That's something huge that I noticed. Basically, every time we went to a country, there would always be someone who asked us, hey, what's up with Donald Trump? I know this is a little bit touchy subject, but I think most of us can agree that Trump is scaring a lot of people. There's one person that I met who said that he really wanted to come live in America and make a living. He wants to live the American dream. He's from Singapore. He actually went to Berkeley, UC Berkeley, and he loved NorCal so much he wants to come back. But when he heard about Donald Trump running, he got really scared, and he said that if he gets in, he is not coming over here. And I just want people to know that the world is watching. This does impact our lives, so I just wanted to mention that. Also, another thing I learned is the value of big family. I, again, am so glad that I have a huge family in Malaysia for me. I'm so glad that they're there and they know me, they care about me, and they've welcomed me to Malaysia and a place to live anytime I want. The last thing I want to talk about is entering the US, and this is kind of something I learned from there, because I got to visit Malaysia with all my cousins, and I really wanted them to visit the US and come hang out with me here so I can show them around, you know? But they told me it was really hard for them to get in because they're all in their mid-20s or younger, and the US government apparently thinks that they're just coming here to get married and get a green card, and they're trying to stop that. So it's really hard for them to get into the US, and I think that's really sad, because they just want to come here. They love our country, and I mean, if they want to come, I think they should. Or even just for a vacation. It's hard for them to say that they're coming for a vacation. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm just really glad that I got to have this experience. There are some additional sources. If you go look at my Instagram, you can see all the pictures from my travels. You have a food Instagram too. There are pictures of all the types of amazing foods that I tried when I was in all of these countries. There's a website if you want to know more about the Galapagos Island. There's another website for TAIWAN Island. And I really highly suggest that you guys all take time in your lives to travel, get to know the world. I mean, this is a huge planet, and we're only on here for not a few years, like, we have a limited time, you know. So just go out there, travel, see the world, have fun with it, make sure you're with good company, and that's all I have. Thank you for listening to my presentation.